Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Convos with Carrie. Motivation Monday. What other cheesy name can I come up with? Anyway, if you are watching this video anytime other than Monday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time to about 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, you're watching the replay. So unless you're watching at that time, this is the replay. Thank you so much for watching. Just know that that's why I'm not responding to you if you comment on the replay. So we're going to do a little housekeeping at the top like we usually do. Hey, Leah Marie, welcome. Thanks for coming. Hey, Sarah. Welcome, welcome, everybody. So good to have you guys here. Okay, so we're going to do our little housekeeping at the beginning. So give me 1 second to get this rolling. Rolling. Okay. As always, if you could share this video, would really appreciate it. Let's get some other people chatting about disappointing people and saying no, one of my favorite topics. Thanks, Lee Marie, for sharing. You can share the video. You can subscribe to my live video feed, so anytime I go live, you'll get notified. Let's see. I know I'm forgetting like a million things, Melissa.
I just posted the thing.
Oh yeah, share the video. Awesome. Oh good. Thanks, miss. I'm going to pin that comment. If at all during our chat here, something really resonates with you, feel free to hit like or love or laugh or wow, or maybe not angry unless we talk about something really angry. But you know, Facebook, as with anything else, it needs a lot of interaction to be seen by a lot of people. Hey, Linz, welcome. So, yeah, so thanks for those hearts and likes and stuff. The more interaction we get, the further the reach, the more people I can talk to and, yeah, hopefully help. So we're going to be talking tonight about disappointing people, the disappointing challenge, and saying no. So the disappointing challenge, I love the wows. Thanks, Linz, for sharing. Disappointing challenge is about just that, intentionally disappointing people. Sounds crazy, right? Hey, Kimberly, welcome. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, we're going to be talking about disappointing people and how it's a really good thing, which I know sounds crazy, right? So please feel free to join the conversation in the comments if you have any questions, thoughts, specific scenarios that are going on in your life that you could use some help with as far as like overcommitting, saying too many yeses, not enough nos. Hey, Lisa, welcome. Good to see you here. So yeah, we're going to talk about disappointing people, and here we go. So I am kind of flying by the seat of my pants tonight. Usually I have some notes to refer to, but this is a topic that I know so well and I've talked about so much over the years and I really love, so I doubt that I will be struggling for things to say. But yeah, so please, join the conversation in the comments section. Would love to hear your take on it. So first thing I want to know from anyone who's watching is how many of you feel overcommitted currently in any way, shape, or form? You can do a thumbs up, you can type yes in the comments section, whatever, whether it's work, home, family, if you just have like a never-ending to-do list, it just feels like you're stretched really thin. If that's you, like away, comment, just give me a yes or a thumbs up in the comments. Chances are, most of us, in some place, feels, yeah, Lee Marie does, feels like just stretched thin or maybe a little overwhelmed. There's a lot of, hey, Pamela. Yes, Pamela does too. Kimberly does too. Yeah. So when you feel that way, the first place I always like to look at is my calendar. Hey, Amy. Okay, yeah, Amy feels it too. Yeah. First place I like to look at is my calendar or my diary for you international folks. If you're feeling stretched thin, that's always a good place to start. Sarah does too, yep. Hey, Tamara. Yeah, okay, so yeah, you've always felt this way. Good. So we've got everyone on board, because I'm the same way, where it's like, all right, when I feel like I have so many thoughts going in my head. And so we're going to talk about a couple tools and techniques you can use to immediately feel less overwhelmed. Like really, I mean immediate. It's really cool. So the first thing, like I was saying, is to look at your calendar. And I want you to get used to evaluating your calendar and looking at the commitments that you have, the obligations you have coming up, the things that you've said yes to. And the first things first is to look at it and ask yourself, is there anything here that I could cancel, that I could change my mind on? Now, I'm not saying to do it just yet, but you'll see that the power comes from even considering it. So looking at your calendar or your diary and going, all right, what do I have coming up in the next week, let's say? And what in there could I reschedule, cancel, change my mind on? Hey, Sigrid, so good to see you. Always feels overwhelmed. Okay, yeah. You know, we have, it's in our culture, and we have a tendency to always be busy. Like, that's kind of the new response, right? Is, oh, how you doing? Oh God, I'm so busy. It's like we're supposed to be busy, but we don't have to be busy. It's like we choose to be busy. So looking at, what do you feel so busy with, and where could you say no to? It might mean that, you need to postpone dinner with a friend until next week. Or you might find that you look at that calendar and go, gosh, I wish I never ever committed to that. I don't even enjoy myself with that person. So then you want to look at, how can I get out of this permanently? And there are ways to do it. You can certainly have a direct conversation, or you can just, cancel and say, you know what, I'm just really stretched to the max right now. I'm not sure when that's going to lighten up, but when it does, I'll be in touch, that kind of thing. But first things first, looking at the calendar and seeing, where can I create some more white space, get some more buffer in my calendar. We all have some place that we can do that. There's always something in the diary that we can do. Like, I'm gonna very impromptu here look at my calendar and see. Yeah, so it would be challenging, but I could do it. Like, as I'm looking at my calendar, I have client calls every day. If I absolutely felt really overwhelmed to the point that I wasn't going to be showing up as fully as I could for my clients, I could absolutely reschedule a call or two this week so I could be present and really show up for them. So, when you look at your calendar, I'm not saying it's always going to be easy to decide what goes and what stays. But the other important part in evaluating your calendar, even if I were to look at my calendar and say, wow, there really is absolutely nothing I can reschedule this week, if I'm feeling overwhelmed and pulled in a lot of directions and there's nothing I can reschedule, then that's a red flag to me that I need to be more conscientious when I am accepting appointments, invitations, etc. So as requests for my time, information, sessions, client appointments come my way, I can be more selective. So there are things I can put into place to help me not feel so pulled in a lot of different directions. So calendar is always a great place to start. Then you can look at just your general overall commitments. If you think about, if there's an organization that you volunteer for, or if there's a committee that you're a part of, whether at school or work or elsewhere, are any of those things obligations that you can excuse yourself from? If there's a volunteer commitment or a committee. Oftentimes I hear from parents who struggle at their kids' school, like being part of the PTO or being a class parent or anything like that. You can certainly just let the people know, listen, I do not have the time that this responsibility needs, and I want you to get the absolute best help you can. So I'm going to need to step back, but I'd be happy to help you find a replacement. So there are ways, it's in the language, right? Similar to the boundary conversation we had a few weeks ago, there's the language you can use to graciously bow out of a commitment, and, without leaving someone high and dry. So this is something that I very often, hey Cheryl, welcome. This is something that I very often do with my clients. I will give them the disappointing challenge. And this is for clients who feel overcommitted, like most of you said you did here, right? So I say to them, listen, for the next 2 weeks, I want you to disappoint at least one person a day, every day. And they freak out at first. There's usually silence, or like a big old gulp, or a gasp. And so, oh my God, I could never do that. But you'd be surprised how easily it is to find places to say no and to disappoint people. And I'll tell you, I would say 9 times out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, what I hear back from clients is they feel empowered, they feel re-energized, they feel replenished when they've been feeling tapped out and exhausted. It reclaims their power from all of these commitments. And so if you find that you're someone who really, really struggles with saying no, hey Jack, then I would want you to look at what is your reasoning behind saying yes. So if you find that you have a lot of trouble saying no, I want you to think about what was your motivation behind saying yes in the first place. That's going to be really telling. If you really find that you're struggling to say no, or to cancel, or to reevaluate it, you can look at what was behind my yes. So let me give you an example. So if someone asks me to help them move, let's say, who likes to help people move, right? It sucks. Yeah, Tamara, why did I say yes? So if someone says, hey, can you help me move next weekend? I don't know anyone who really loves to help people move, but I have helped plenty of people move in my time. And so I look and go, all right, Carrie. So, yes, it could be, they're really good friends or they're family members, and I want to help them. I care a lot about them. But if they're not a primary relationship or someone who I feel very close with, I need to look at what's the motivation behind saying yes. Do I want to be the hero? Do I want to be liked? Am I trying to ingratiate myself to them? Do I want to feel indispensable? Do I like to be needed? These are just some examples that come to the top of my mind that if you think about why did I say yes to begin with, that can be part of it, right? So first looking at where can I say no? Geez, I don't see any place that I can possibly say no, which I know is a crock because you can always say no to something. So if you really feel like there's nowhere you can say no, then let's find out why you said yes to begin with. And let's make sure that you're not saying yes to things to get some sort of unfulfilled need met for yourself. So it has nothing to do with the person that you've agreed to do something for, and has really almost everything to do with a need that you're trying to get filled. I tend to, I've gotten better, certainly, but I tend to overcommit, or, I'm quick to say yes or solve people's problems, right? Big surprise. To kind of swoop in and be the hero. And then I'll, if I have that conversation with someone, I'm like, yeah, no problem. I can do that. I can drive you to the airport or whatever. In the moment, it feels really good. Like I get a rush of being able to be their hero and do this for them. And it does feel good. And then I get home and I'm like, shit. Is that something I really want to do? What made me just agree to that? And now, so what's tricky is, in the past, I was yes. I was such a yes woman. Yeah, I'll do that. Sure, no problem. Yeah, I'll go to dinner with you. I didn't want to disappoint anybody because I really felt like my worth was defined by how much I do for people, and that if they didn't need me, then they wouldn't like me or they wouldn't be friends with me. All this crap I would tell myself. So I would overcommit and say yes to people all the time. And then I'd get home and be like, man, I really don't want to do that after all. Why did I say yes so quickly? So yeah, Pamela, you too. Too quick to say yes. I'll tell you, There is such power in the pause, is what I call it. I wrote a blog post a while ago called The Power in the Pause. That intentionally trying to pause whenever you're asked a question, usually an invitation, a request for your help, time, skills, talents. If you can just take a breath and pause, that allows you to check in even momentarily. And so I tell my clients, even if you only remember to pause and you still say yes and you go home and regret that you said yes, at least you practice the pause. Like just, yeah, Cheryl, love that, power in the pause. Yeah, and Cheryl says, and I hate being disappointed, so I don't like to do it to others. Exactly, right? That's another big one, Cheryl, that we tend to show people how we want to be treated instead of telling people how we want to be treated. Instead of setting up some sort of expectation in a relationship or some sort of healthy dynamic, we will show people how we want to be treated. And so that's a perfect example of that is, I don't like to be disappointed. So maybe if I don't disappoint anybody, they won't disappoint me either. So, and, in some regards, I can see that. It's like modeling behavior, right? But it's also, you really want to look at, am I giving to get? Or am I really just giving out of the purest of intentions? There have been times that I've helped people move truly from a pure intention of, I know what a bitch it is to move. I want to help lighten their load. They mean a lot to me. I'm available, all that kind of stuff. But if there's any part of me that's like, oh, geez, I don't want to disappoint them. And what if they don't like me? What if they never call me again? What if they find out they don't need me after all, etc. Yeah. So, we got some FOMO going on. Okay, Lee Marie says, I don't want to miss out. That's a big one, right? It's like even though it can be like not a very pleasant task or a pleasant way to spend your time, some people can be driven by the fear of missing out. That's FOMO for anyone who's not familiar. But that whole drive of FOMO of like, oh my God, I need to be there because I don't want to miss out. And so, Lee Marie, I would love if in the comment section you would say more about what is it that you fear you'd be missing out on. So she says, or miss out spending time with loved ones. Oh, Melissa, can you tag my mother in this? She's trying to get on.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, so miss out on spending time with loved ones. Oh yeah, Cheryl, FOMO, fear of missing out. Hey, Mary. Hey, Natalie. So yeah, Cheryl, the FOMO thing, like, it's a real thing. Like, that's just not like a funny acronym we just made up here. Like, if you see, like, people, especially with social media now, it's so tricky. Social media, right? Everyone shows the highlight reel of their life. So it's like, things look so fun and good and cool, and so people start to really struggle with FOMO, like, oh my God, my life sucks compared to everybody else's. I'm really missing out on things. Or people will agree to dinners with friends or meeting up with family members, mostly out of FOMO, out of fear of missing out. It might not even, like, they might be doing something they don't want to do. It's kind of like, what was it? So my brother is taking my mother to see Neil Diamond, right? She loves Neil Diamond. I mean, really, who doesn't love Neil Diamond? But it's not a concert that I was particularly interested in. But when he sent the text out to the family and said, hey, I see Neil Diamond's playing at some local venue, thinking it would be fun to go with Mom, who else is in? And part of me was like, oh, let me see. And I think I had something that day. It's still coming up. And I was looking at how I could rearrange it. And I thought, you know what? I don't really want to go to that show. And there was part of me that was like, Carrie, Jesus, that's awful. It's your family. You should go with them. Like, all the shoulds started coming out, right? Like, shouldn't all over yourself. So I was like, you should really go. Like, oh, it's even close to you. It might be at the casino here in Connecticut. And I was like, you should really go. And part of me is like, oh my God, I really should. Part of me thinks it would be exciting and fun. But the other part of me is like, God, I already feel overcommitted with other things I have going on in my life. So I made a conscious effort to say no, but I had to really, you should. Thanks, Cheryl. So I always get my power back by changing should to could. So instead of I should go to the concert, I change it to I could go to the concert. then it becomes my decision, right? No outside forces telling me to do it. I get to decide. And who knows? Maybe I'll end up going, but I like to play things more by ear. Hey, Amy. So let's see here. Natalie. If I can do it, I say yes, instead of deciding whether I want to do it. That's important, Natalie. I have this automatic expectation of myself that I need to figure out how to make something happen. Totally. So that's really important, Natalie. If you're available to do it, then it's an automatic yes for you. So I would encourage you to look at what is the motivation behind the yes. What do you gain out of saying yes to everything? Like some examples I gave about ingratiating myself to people and being needed and loved and befriended. Like, what is behind your motivation is worth looking at. I know I'm missing Mary. In my business, I have had to learn to say no. It's hard, but I can't give all of me away. Absolutely, Mary. Oh, Mary, I remember years ago, I went with the Richardson clan to see Neil Diamond. Best time. Oh my God, so fun, Mary. Yeah, Neil Diamond was my official first concert, I will say. I was, 12 or 11 or even 10. My parents were going to see Neil Diamond, and my mother said, you have a couple choices. You can come with us to Neil Diamond, stay at a hotel and miss school tomorrow, or you can stay home and we can have a babysitter come and watch you. And I was like, Neil Diamond, yeah! So off I went to Neil Diamond because I wanted to miss school. Had the best time. Greatest concert. One of the greatest. Really, Journey was my greatest concert. But Neil Diamond's kind of up there too. Neil rocks. All right, Lisa Bolter. I just got invited to something for next Sunday that I normally would never do, but a bunch of my family is going. I totally said yes. Poop. Okay. So, Lisa, guess what? You can change your mind. You can decide to not go. And, let your family be disappointed or let whatever the host is be disappointed. You can just say, you know what? Looked at my calendar. I'm actually not available after all. The trick is you're not lying. If you're not emotionally available for an event, then you're not available. You don't have to be already physically committed somewhere. So, Lisa, tell me what you think about unaccepting the invitation. Natalie, everything is a challenge and a hurdle to overcome. So I feel I have to figure out how to make something work. So for other people, Natalie, so when you say that if you are available to do it, you automatically say yes because you like a challenge, it sounds like. Everything is a challenge and a hurdle to overcome, so I feel I have to figure out how to make something work. So there's a couple things that are going on in there, Natalie, that I kind of get the sense of. There is this desire to be busy, this desire to take on a challenge and figure it out. There might be some discomfort in quiet time. Having downtime might feel really uncomfortable to you. So I would challenge you to have more downtime. So it can, the more we step out of our comfort zone, the bigger it becomes, right? So intentionally create more downtime, more white space in your calendar, Natalie, so it can start to feel less uncomfortable and you'll be less apt to say yes to everything. Sigrid, motivation behind the yes is a very important point. Yeah. I often babysit my grandchildren because I can and get a lot of fun out of it, but still get sometimes resentful for not doing what I could be doing, even though whatever that is could perhaps also wait. Yeah, but the point here, Sigrid, is, so I have no doubt that you enjoy your grandchildren. That doesn't mean you have to say yes every time you're asked to babysit. It's okay. Hey, Annie, you made it. It's okay to not babysit your grandchildren. Thanks, Linz. It's totally okay to not want to babysit your grandchildren sometimes. Just like any parent with their child, your grandchildren are much better served when you can show up to them fully. So if you're showing up and babysitting them every time you're asked, of course you're going to feel resentful because that's a good sign that you are compromising yourself. And your intention behind babysitting them isn't pure. And so unless your son or daughter is in a real bind and you feel like you really want to help them out, if it's just like a night out or whatever, I want you to practice saying no. saying no to the request to babysit your grandchildren. I know, I'm a terrible person, right? But yeah. Amy, just because you don't do something doesn't mean you don't care or love others. That's such a good point, Amy. Really, it's so true. You know, for the people who do everything for others, like you can think of it this way. If you do everything for others, what kind of message is that sending to yourself? So there's a bit of self-abandonment there, and there's like a lack of self-love if everyone is a priority over you. So just like you say here, Amy, just because you don't do something doesn't mean you don't care for people. It actually can mean that you care for yourself. So you want to make sure that you're not over-giving to the point of self-abandonment, because that's when our body lets us know we've given too much. We might come down with a nasty cold. We might have like extreme fatigue, short temper, getting into lots of arguments with our spouse or loved ones. Like there are signs that your spirit will let you know, hey, cut the shit. You've got way too much going on. So Lisa, when she considers unaccepting the invitation, would make me happier to not go, but I have a really bad case of FOMO, only child left over. Okay. Yeah, so you've got some FOMO going on with that Sunday. So I think what could be helpful, Lisa, is if you don't have to change your mind on the invitation just yet, but really like sit in, imagine that you did unaccept the invitation, like play make believe. Imagine that you did in fact say, you know what, I'm not able to come after all, and sit with that feeling a little bit. See what's going on. See if you can excavate a little bit what's stirring underneath there. It might be like some free writing could be helpful, some journaling. I mean, sometimes I'll even talk into like my voice recorder just to, because I process out loud. I'm a high visual thinker, communicator, so I process out loud. So sometimes I'll do that just into my voice memo. But really, like, play make believe like you just unaccepted that invitation, and imagine like it's Sunday, or like tomorrow's Sunday, and you know everyone's going and you're not. Like, be with that feeling of discomfort that comes up around not attending the event tomorrow. Like, imagine that it's tomorrow. That's going to help to really excavate what's going on underneath there. You may still end up going on Sunday. It's totally fine. But you're that much closer to understanding why you said yes to begin with, and what it might feel like to not go. So play make-believe, Lisa. I think that can really help. Raven. Hey, Raven, welcome. My default response is to say no to everything now, and I'll let them know if I change my mind. It's easier to turn a no into a yes. That's a good tactic, Raven. I like that tactic. Because what a pleasant surprise, right? If someone doesn't think you're able to make it, or you can't help, and then all of a sudden it's like, actually, you know what? My calendar just freed up and I'm totally available. The people will be psyched, right? I love that. It's really smart to do it that way. You know, surprise people, you know? I love that. Natalie, FOMO is a big thing for me too, and man, I hadn't thought about the only child thing contributing to that. So true, Lisa. Okay, so Natalie's got the only child syndrome going on too. So I'd want you to do the same thing I talked to Lisa about, Natalie, is really looking at, if you didn't participate in something or attend something, what might that feel like? Like, what are the feared consequences? So it's even more than what would that feel like. It's what are the feared consequences? So, you know, they're going to have a blast and I'm going to miss out on the best memory ever. Like, that might be something that comes up. Or people will forget about me and I won't get invited to the next thing. You know, usually there's some really, like, we make up a story that something really fantastic is going to happen at the one event we don't go to. And then, so we get all psyched, right? And then we go there, and then we're totally disappointed because it's like lame, or it's like nothing's very exciting, and now you're pissed because you really just want to be home. So that's why it's so important to like get clear on the why. Yeah, so Lisa says they don't invite you next time. Yeah, so I think that's really common, right? If I say no to this, then I won't get an invitation next time. So I think it would be good to challenge that. Like, let's see how true that even is. You know, if you decide to not go on Sunday, let's say, let's see if an invitation comes next time. I can almost guarantee you that it will, but these are the stories we tell ourselves, right? That we're not going to be invited again to something. So that's that little younger part of ourselves that feels Like she's gonna be like she's on the playground and she's not being asked to participate in, jump rope or whatever. I'm dating myself. What do kids do at recess these days? I probably said that because I was the double Dutch champion, female champion in 4th grade. That's a true story. Anderson School, Medway, Mass, double Dutch champion. That's right. Yes, you are all in my presence. So yeah, I don't know what kids do at recess anymore. We did double Dutch. It's not easy to jump, and I would jump in to the ropes. That's right. Anyway. So yeah, so really thinking about like what would I be missing if I wasn't at that event on Sunday, or what would I be missing if I didn't say yes to someone who needed help? Did I get a trophy? No, Amy, just bragging rights, which clearly I'm still hanging on to because it's been 30-something years. So no trophy, but bragging rights. I even remember there was a female champion and a male champion. And Mary, I know you'll appreciate this, Chris Dwyer, the one with the long eyelashes, who in kindergarten I thought was a girl because he had long eyelashes. He was the male double Dutch champion, and I was the female. That's right, 4th grade. So, thanks, Mary. I like you. I like when you join me on Monday nights. So no trophy. Now I have FOMO for a trophy. No, I really don't, because that would be clutter, and we all know how I feel about clutter. So yeah. So I want to know if anyone here is willing to take on the disappointing challenge. To recap, that is 2 weeks of intentionally disappointing someone every day. Now, before you get all freaked out, let me clarify some points here. It doesn't have to be like a primary relationship that you're disappointing, although it would be great if at least one of them could be. But it might be, Lisa, you might unaccept the invitation for next Sunday. But it could be, maybe someone on the street stops and asks you for directions, and you say, oh no, I'm sorry, I don't know, even when you do. I know, it sounds like you're a shitty, horrible person, but you're not. You're intentionally disappointing people. It could be that. It could be that, all right, Sarah's on board. We got one disappointer on board. Who else is going to do it? Who else is going to disappoint people every day for the next 2 weeks? I'm trying to think of some other examples. It can just be, if an invitation comes your way, or if there's like, maybe at the office, if people still work in offices, I think some do, there might be like, hey, we're all chipping in for a birthday present for, John, and maybe you're not a big fan of John. Maybe you're like, no, thanks, I'll pass. Yeah, you risk looking like an asshole, but it's like, no, I don't want to give money to John. John's a jerk. Or whatever. Pamela, can saying no include not calling someone back? Definitely. That's a good one, Pamela. Not returning a phone call. Not returning an email. If you get an email that doesn't really require a response, like maybe it's just someone, it might be kind of like a junky email, but not junk email, but it's not like, an email from a family member. It's, not responding to an email, not calling someone back. Those are all great examples of disappointing. Lisa, if I say no, you're the first person. Are you the first person I disappoint? That's a good one. Yes, I would be. So, but that's only one, right? So now you've got 9 more. Oh, yeah, there's not 10 days in 2 weeks. There's 14 days. You got 13 more to go, though. So are you saying no, or are you disappointing? That's a good question. Amy, I've got a head start. I started disappointing someone last night, and it wasn't my husband. Well, I guess that's good. Now it's time to disappoint your husband, Amy. But all right, so you've got a head start. So does that mean you're on board for the challenge? Are you, Amy? Do it. Pamela, I can do this and I must. All right, we got Sarah and Pamela who are definitely on board. We've got Amy who has a head start, so she could be on board too. I just need a firm commitment in the comments, Amy. So yeah, so Sarah says small to big challenge. Meaning, do you start disappointing small? All right, Amy's on. That's 3. Yeah, the peer pressure. I'm not pressuring. I'm encouraging. Lisa's my no was a yes. Okay. So how many? I think we got 4 now. And this is going to take some conscious effort. It doesn't all have to be scary big no's, but you really want to be conscious. It's actually at the beginning, it's more about identifying how many requests you get, or how many invitations or phone calls or emails. Like the first step is always being aware, right? Like where is your attention being pulled so much? So Tamara, could be setting a deadline that works for you, not just for the person making the request. Don't let their anxiety become yours. Yes, that's a great example.
What's that quote from your dad?
Oh yeah, my father used to always say when I was growing up, he would tell me, well, not growing up, but when I would talk to him about business, he would say, lack of preparation on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine. And I always love that. It's like, yeah, your anxiety does not have to become mine. Just because you didn't prepare doesn't suddenly mean that I need to drop everything and help you. So it's, and that can be difficult for I think of you, Natalie, and some of the comments you've made here. A last minute request might be just the type of thing that fuels you. I love the green heart, Lee Marie. That could really fuel that part of you who loves a challenge. So my guess would be last minute requests might really trip you up, Natalie. So but I want you to pay attention to last minute requests and requests that come in, in advance. But so first things first, for those of you who have accepted the challenge, and even those of you who haven't, first things first is to start to identify the amount of requests that come your way. Great place to start. Natalie, I'm working on a last minute request right now. All right, so my intuition's on point tonight. Got it, Natalie. Okay. So the last minute request, I understand it's probably not something that you can get rid of at this point. Hey, Debbie. But let it be a teachable moment that you can then not say yes again. Or even think about what would it be like to say no to that last minute request, even though you're working on it right now. Like, again, just the consideration of it can be so powerful. So just even think about, what if I went back to the person and said, after all, not able to do it. Sorry. See what comes up for you when you even talk about that, or even consider it. It can be really cool to see. Amy, sometimes not answering the phone, declining the call when your caller ID shows who is calling is a disappointment for the caller. Yeah, another perfect example. So it doesn't have to be like these confrontational conversations. These are great examples. I don't know. Gosh, I very rarely. Shit, maybe this is saying something about me. I was going to say I very rarely get someone on the phone these days. Maybe they're screening my calls. No, but it's like, I think everyone just looks at it and goes, not right now. If you answer, like I say that to my mom all the time, she's got a lot of kids and we all call her and sometimes I'll call her and she'll sound a little out of breath and she's like, oh, sorry, I just ran from the other end of the house. And I said, well, you do know you don't have to answer the phone, right? Like you can just let it go to voicemail. It's okay. But I think that's just part of her conditioning is to answer the phone. But yeah, you don't have to answer the phone when it calls. You don't have to immediately respond to a text. That's something I did with a client a few years back. She had a sister who would text and call her incessantly and about nothing that was urgent. But my client had trained her sister to expect immediate responses to her texts and phone calls. And so I said, okay, that's part of your disappointing challenges. The next time your sister texts you, I want you to wait 4 hours, or then I want you to wait overnight. These kinds of things. So not only are you practicing disappointing someone, which isn't even the important part of the challenge, you're retraining her to be in relationship with you in a different way. You're setting a boundary for her. So not answering the phone when it rings, not responding right away to a text, voicemail, or email is just a great way to let people know that you're not at their beck and call, that you've got stuff going on too. I would hope that if there was something urgent, that the person would leave a voicemail or say in the text message, I need to talk to you as soon as you can, or something. So people who call or text and don't give any indication as to why they're calling, I assume it's not an emergency. I'll get back to them when I can. So, Pamela, that is one thing I do. I leave my ringer off most of the time. Yeah, I hardly ever, I'm a texter, so I don't communicate a lot via phone, but, except for my client calls, of course. But yeah, it's, I want to do it on my time frame, Leah Marie, I always feel bad when I don't text right back. Yeah, so look and see. Why do you feel bad, Leah Marie? My guess is there's a story you make up when someone doesn't text you right back. So check that out and see how do you feel when someone doesn't text you right back? What do you make that mean for yourself? I would want to know the story you make up, because chances are you're then projecting that. If you don't text right back, you fear that person's going to feel the way you feel when you don't get an immediate text back. So check in and see what that is. Lisa, it may be because I'm sick, but a lot of people in my family ask me to do things for myself that would make them more comfortable, but that I don't want to do, or that I have another plan about how to handle. Then they get upset at me for not doing what they wanted me to do. That's tough for me. All right, I'm just going to read that again so I get what you're saying. Maybe because I'm sick. Okay, so your family's asking you to do things for yourself. If you can give an example, Lisa, that would be helpful.
Probably like regarding her health.
Yeah, so if they would like you to do something regarding your health that would make them feel more comfortable. Okay, but you have another plan about how to handle it. Okay, so then they get upset when you don't do it their way. So yeah, that's a good boundary need as well. That, if they get upset at you for not doing it their way, hey, Sarah's brother, welcome. Or did he join the challenge, or did he join the video? Either way, welcome to Sarah's brother. So that's an opportunity. Like when you say they get upset at you for not doing what they want you to do, I guess I'd want to know, how do you know they're upset with you? Like, are they telling you, like, well, what the hell? I told you to do this and that. Again, opportunity for a boundary. Oh, the video. Hi, Sarah's brother. That's an opportunity to say that, listen, you know what? It's my health. I'll handle it my way. Thank you very much for your concern, but I got it. And when you want their help, you can ask for it. Yes, like because they take care of me when I'm sick, they get to tell me what to do. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's tricky. But that's essentially the language right there, right, Lisa? So it's like, listen, I really appreciate how much help you give me when I'm sick and when I'm not doing well. But, I still kind of feel like I know what's best for me, so I might not always take your advice. Please don't take it personally. Like, it can be something like that, right? Like, I appreciate your input. Don't take it personally if I choose to go in a different direction. Like, I just feel like so many relationships can be healed and can thrive from clean, clear communication. Like, so many of us try to navigate, manipulate situations, use language in a way to not stir the pot or upset people. But really, if you are clean and clear and to the point, something like that, like, thank you so much for your willingness to help me when I'm sick. I really do appreciate it. And I appreciate your advice too. I'm going to handle this a little bit differently, so, please don't think I don't appreciate your help. Sigrid, I feel that I would like to treat people the way I would like to be treated. If I expect quick answers to my texts, why would I not text back soon? Yeah, really important, Sigrid. We talked a little bit about this earlier on, I think, before you joined. Instead of showing people how you'd like to be treated, tell them. I believe me, I get the whole concept of do unto others as you'd like done unto you. I totally get it. Like, so that's like, I would treat people with respect because I respect people and I expect to be respected as well. But something like answering texts quickly, partially as a way to let them know I expect my texts to be answered quickly, is not cutting it. That feels a little manipulative to me. Believe me, we all do it. I think a lot of us do. So it's not anything on you, Sigrid. But really like look and see what's with the discomfort with not getting your texts answered right away. What feels uncomfortable about that? Similar to what Leah Marie was saying earlier, like she feels bad if she doesn't text back right away. What story are you telling yourself if you're not getting your texts responded to quickly? Yeah, see, there's so much good stuff under our struggles to say no, our struggles to set boundaries. There's a lot we can learn about ourselves, but we often put it on the other people. So if people aren't behaving the way you would like them to, it's a you thing, not a them thing. So I would want you to look at, like, what is it that makes me so uncomfortable about how they're behaving or not behaving? Yeah, it's just, oh my God, it's such a real opportunity. That's why I think oftentimes when people say no or they decline a request or an invitation, they over-explain. You know, it's like they need to justify their no, when really, as soon as you over-explain your no, you invite debate. So as soon as you say, oh no, I can't go to dinner tomorrow night, you know, I have this work thing I have to do, you immediately pretty much hand the person an invitation to help you figure out the problem so you can then go to dinner. Well, can't the work thing wait? Like, can't you do it like first thing in the next morning? Or like you invite them to challenge you. So if you just go, oh no, I'm not able to do dinner tomorrow night, thanks so much for the invitation, maybe another time, then that's it. If they say, well, why can't you do it? You can just, well, you know, I'm just not available, but maybe we could do it another time. So you don't have to explain yourself to people. And in fact, when you do, you weaken your position. It's not being rude. You don't have to justify yourself. I would want other people to take good care of them. So it's like I feel better asking people for help if I know that they take really good care of themselves. So then I don't have to worry about them doing it out of guilt or obligation. I know that they're doing it out of a pure desire to help me, or out of joy, or out of like just a really pure want. So I don't want someone to accept an invitation from me or say yes to a request for help because they feel bad, or because they want to be the hero, or because they want to ingratiate themselves to me. Like that, I don't want that energy around me. And I want someone to say yes to supporting me because they really want to and they're available to. That comes with an element of love that obligatory help just doesn't. So you're really doing the people in your life a service by helping them from a pure place. So pay attention to, going around again, paying attention to the why. Lisa, yeah, boundaries, exactly. Pamela, I'm just learning to not explain my no, I can't do that. Isn't it so empowering, Pamela? It's like to not have to explain. It's such clean communication, and the other person, believe it or not, even if at the surface they don't realize it, they do appreciate it. There's no head games. There's no reading into what you're saying. There's no, it's just clean. You know, I like clean communication. I don't want to have to interpret what you're saying. I don't want to, you know, I need you to mean what you say and say what you mean. It's so much easier to be in a relationship that way. So those of you who are taking on the disappointing challenge, know that you are actually improving the relationships you have with the people you're disappointing. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but I promise you, you will improve the relationship with them. It is empowering and so much easier. Yeah. So I know we've gone a little long, but just want to open it up finally. Anyone else have any specific scenarios that you're struggling with saying no? Takeaways that are going to be helpful for you? Any final questions? Anything? All right, Sarah's still on. Still on with the disappointing challenge. Yep, I think we've got Sarah, Pamela, Mary, Lisa. Amy was a yes. Whoever else wants to. You don't have, well, I would love some updates. So if you feel like you really want to commit to this, come back to this video and either comment and let me know how it's going, or you can send me an email, Carrie@carrierichardson.com. Just let me know how the disappointing is going. I promise you, your life will be better for it. The more you practice saying no, the easier it gets. It doesn't mean you're going to become this nasty person who never helps anyone. Trust me, if you're an overgiver, that is the way other side of the pendulum, and the chances of you swinging there are slim to none. The goal is to get you to settle somewhere in the middle. Right now you're pinned to automatic yes. We want you to move. The disappointing challenge is an intentional way to move that pendulum extremely to the other side, so then you can settle somewhere in the middle. Settling in the middle looks like being conscious about your acceptance of invitations and requests, and that power in the pause, pausing before you respond. Thanks, Lisa. I know you said you like to pin back. I did it for you. I would love to say that's true, but really I was just having a crappy hair day. Leah Marie, thanks for coming. I love Mondays with you guys too. So remember, power in the pause. What's the intention behind your yes? If you're saying yes to things, if you're overcommitting yourself, what is the intention behind it? And those of you who have some commitments you'd like to cancel, Lisa, play make-believe. Imagine tomorrow was Sunday and you weren't going. What might that feel like? And Mary wants to say no to snow. Hey, Annie. We've got, for those of you in New England, we've got a big old storm coming tomorrow. I think we're going to get a nor'easter. Yeah, we're going to get 18 inches or something. It's going to be bananas. It's my Boston accent for you. Mama, you're an amazing woman. I come from an amazing woman. You're welcome, Pamela. Thank you all so much. Natalie, get rid of that last minute request. Awesome. Any help me, suggested topics? You can email me, Carrie@carrierichardson.com. Sign up for my weekly newsletter, which alerts you to this every Monday as well. And I think that was everything. You can share the video even as a replay. Really appreciate that. All right, Tamara, thank you. I've been making progress in this area, and this was the extra support I needed today. Great to hear that, Tamara. Awesome. Very helpful points to not have. Awesome, Zigrid. Yeah, don't explain. And stop babysitting those grandkids so much. I know you love them, but don't have to babysit them every time you're asked. You'll have a much better relationship with them if you leave out the resentment. So take some time off. All right, thank you so much, everyone. Hope you have a great Monday, a great week, and hopefully see you back here same time, same place next week. Take care, everybody. Bye.